y'all, Brown Salter here with Salter Racing Engines, and today, or I should say tonight, I want to talk about this video. And the title was gained 70 horsepower on a dyno session, and basically explain how that came to be. So this video is a 396. It's going in a 1970 Chevelle. The owner's name is Mark, and he is from Winston-Salem, North Carolina. It's about 5 hours from here. And he commissioned me to build the engine for his car. He's owned the car since 1981, so it's pretty important to him. And Mark knows me from Land Speed Racing, and also he worked at a company called Rod Crafters in Welcome, North Carolina. They were directly side of Richard Childress Racing, directly beside them. And so we met that way, and Mark and Larry Shove built some wonderful cars at Rod Crafters. They built our Land Speed cars, 2 of them, 33 Vicky Coupe and a 53 Studebaker. And of course I built all the engines for the cars, and we set 20 National Land Speed records. Anyways, back to the story. This is a 396. Well, Mark was at a car show at Richard Childress, and the engine, he drove there to the car show. I don't know how long he sat, but anyways, when he went to leave, basically the car ate the camshaft. The engine just destroyed itself, messed up the crank. So I said, well, hey, since the crank's messed up, why don't we do some improvements? So I bought a rotating assembly from Molnar, 4-inch stroke. I bored it 30 over, so it's 4125 on the bore. With a 4-inch crank, that comes out to 427.6 or so. So it still has that typical 396 4125 bore. If you guys are familiar with 396s, they have a very small bore in comparison to other big block engines, and you know, if you try to put any kind of decent valve size in, you're going to have valve to deck interference. So of course we did. I had a set of cast AFR 335s, I think they were. It had two 250 intake valve, and of course the normal, what is it, 1880 exhaust. And of course when you set the, the head up on the deck of the 396, the intake valve hits the deck. So I just did some massaging and polishing there, and accomplished about 750 lift before the valve started to reintroduce itself to the cylinder wall. Well, we weren't even going to be close to 750 lift, and I thought that was plenty good enough. So we went ahead with that, and then I started doing, I made a few videos, and I have several big blocks to build and other things. So, but you saw some videos I've made with little details, like I anchored the caps with the roll pins, polishing, chamfering the block, and things like that. All those details paid off. In this video you're going to see that. So I did a little research, and I tried to YouTube and Google people dynoing 396s, and you don't see anybody on YouTube land making the power that this made. This engine is 9.4 compression to 1, and I have a $3,000 K-Tech Whistler to prove that. It's 9.4 to 1. We tested it with just 93 octane from the gas station. It's a custom camshaft that I made, 225. Now understand this, the customer Mark said, I do not want a lumpy idle. It can have a little bit of lick to it, but nothing radical. I said, okay. Well, right there is challenge number 1. He wanted to be able to drive it anywhere he wanted to go, cross country if necessary, and did not want a lumpy idle, so keep that in mind. So I got a nice hydraulic roller cam, custom made. It's 225 on the intake, 235 on the exhaust, on a 115, and I dialed it in on 112, and I put it on 115 to get rid of the overlap, some of it, most of it, and still keep some good brake vacuum, and it turned out awesome. 1.7 rockers are steel. Put a really strong push rod in for what we were doing. Okay, hydraulic roller, light spring pressure. Doesn't require a ton of push rod, but it's going to get a 3/8 80 minimum. Of course, I set up the geometry on all. That's perfect. And then I got a Wyand Track Warrior intake, and I had some issues with that I want to talk about today. And just started doing the details that I've learned through NASCAR, doing high-end engines and applying them to the street, and the gains it has made for me. Like, I made videos on chamfering the eyebrows on your pistons. I chamfer my intake side for flow. Okay, make no mistake about it. The reason I do that is when you run a high lift camshaft, the pistons at TDC and that valve is open on the intake stroke. All right, the valve will chase the piston down on high lift camshafts. So if I can unshroud the intake valve during the intake stroke and during overlap and get more flow from that, then I'm going to do it. No, I'm not going to do one and dyno it, and then I'm not going to put a piston in that's normal, dyno it, take it apart, chamfer the eyebrow, and then dyno it. Because I had a couple people, I want to see the difference. Well, you just have to take my word for it, or don't do it. But I'm taking the time to do it, so that ought to tell you something. Little things like that, the way my rings are, stuff like that make a big difference. And so I want to show you what we started with and what we ended with. And of course the video, as you can see, some of the frustrations I went through. The very first dyno pull I'm going to show you is with a 650 carburetor, because in a hurry this morning I have several carburetors in the same identical Holley box, and I grabbed the wrong one. So I grabbed a 650 instead of the 950 that's going on it, and it ran fantastic with it. In fact, the very first pull, we ran the car's going to have hood clearance issues if we run any kind of spacer. So the carburetor's going directly to the intake manifold, because he doesn't want any kind of aftermarket cowl hoods or anything. So we forgot to trim the gasket out. So the gasket for the Holley was a 4-hole, and we put it on there, and this thing pulled so hard it ripped the center out of the gasket. And some of the guys were standing out in the parking lot, guys. Lord is my witness, it blew that carburetor gasket out in the parking lot, and we went and picked it up. Hilarious. That was actually quite funny. So the center section to the Holley gasket came out in the parking lot through the dyno, because he's got like 12-inch dyno pipes and no mufflers, and it just boom, shot it right out. Anyways, really good carb signal from the little, just tedious little work, you know, cleaning up short turns, making your ports match, things like that. What problem did I have with the Track Warrior from Wyand? Here's the problem I had. The passenger side of the block was not pulling the same as the driver's side of the block. I had a very rich condition on the passenger right side of the engine and a normal condition on the other side. And I tried jetting it. We tried moving jets around. We did everything we could, but it would too adversely affect the other side to correct the right side. And what I wound up doing is getting it to where they were as close to 12.5, 12.6 as we could get them, and just letting it go. But the right side of the engine, 2, 4, 6, and 8, was pumping 10.5 AFR. And it would roll the black smoke out of that side. And I could fix it, but I didn't have time on the dyno today. So basically it's an intake deal. It's the way the intake was designed. It's not sharing the way it's supposed to. And it's not common but it is common on very poorly designed intakes. And that's not, the intake make great power. There's something going on there inside the intake. Probably could be fixed with some welding and a little port work. We could correct it, but anyway, I didn't have time to do all that. So we were expecting that. The owner was only expecting like 500 horsepower. Well, boy, did we ever meet that goal. Let me show you the first dyno pool. Okay, so the very first dyno pool, this is what we made. Looks like 507 at 5600, and I don't know, somewhere right at 500 foot-pounds, 499.9 or something like that. All right, so anyways, we ran into the AFR was super rich and started working on that issue. So here's another pool. All right, so you have, this is the graph of it. Now also, by the way, right here I'm at 33 or 34 degrees of timing, and timing will cause these little dips, guys. Timing will do that to you. Timing will also cause your AFR to be on the rich side. But of course, you know, it's first time started, brand new. I didn't have time to run it on the run stand. So we were just taking it easy and make sure everything was cool. And it was. So after that, we started making some adjustments. After we made some adjustments, we wound up at 37 degrees of timing, 36.5 if you're being really technical. And we wound up with this. So, well, first, here's the overlay of the first pool. There's your torque, there's your horsepower curve, and your torque curve, and we stopped at, what is that, 5,600 RPMs. Okay, so there's your horsepower, 507, and I think 499 on the torque. And then, after we got done working on it, we went all the way to 571 and 526 on the torque. That's at almost 37 degrees total timing with the correct 950 carburetor on it. And here's the graph by itself. Nobody expected this thing to make those kind of numbers. Nobody expected it, including the owner. So let's see. I hope you can see, because I can't see nothing. Okay, there we go. So look how long it carries that out. It's in the 560s from what, 5,800 all the way to 65, 6,600 RPMs. And our torque wound up at that horsepower. And it looks like 526.1 was peak torque at 4,800. So this is a 9.4 93 octanes, and it idles at 780 RPMs. This is what paying attention to details, getting the right camshaft will do for you. Idling at 780, making those kind of numbers with a little stroked 396 big block Chevy. I'll tell you, you can't beat it. You just can't beat it. Anyways, Salter Racing engine here. Details matter. And here's the rest of the video. Alright guys, this is Brian Salter here, and we are testing a 396 Chevrolet bored 30. So it's 4125 bore, and I stuffed a 4-inch crank in it, and I put AFR 335 heads with a very small camshaft, hydraulic roller 225, 235. Customer specifically stated he did not want a very choppy idle, so we put the LSA at 115, dialed it in on 112, and compression is 9.4 to 1. We are running with 93 pump gas octane. Very first pool, it's hopeful. This is at 5,500, We're at 517 and 502. That's with a 650 carburetor. And the velocity is so high on this engine, it's really sucking hard on that carburetor. So the one that's actually going to be on the engine is a 950, and stupid me grabbed the wrong carburetor box, so I left it at home. But anyhow, the engine sounds great, it runs great. We now have a 950 I borrowed from Andrew, and we're going to be running that. Oh, this is at 33 degrees of total timing. It's probably going to want to be around 37. So, but anyway, very first pull looks awesome. We've already met my expectations. I was only hoping for around 500, and it looks like we're going to get a lot more than that. So, but that's what you get when you put a lot of little detail efforts into things. We will show you the runs as they go. So just kind of wanted to give you a sense of what's happening here. Right now, the AFR is really quirky with this particular intake on the corners. So we're in the tens. We're taking about 4 or 5 jets out right now to get the overall AFR down. It's actually rolling black smoke out of the exhaust, and I'll keep you posted. All right, we're in the dyno room. We're making jet changes, and here this 396. Actually, right now it's actually a 427.6, I think, 9.4 to 1 compression. We just swapped to a bigger carburetor and a spacer because I accidentally brought the wrong one. The 650, it was liable to suck that through the intake and spit it out the exhaust pipe. So far very pleased with the performance, and we haven't even got past 33 degrees of timing yet. So anyways, we'll keep you posted. As you can tell, I did my job on the cam. It does not hit very hard. Still running rich. Wow, my eardrums are gone. All right, so we picked it up. What is that? About 20 horsepower or something?
No, 499 to 537. 38.
Oh, 38 horsepower. Okay. So, yeah, I think it's time to bring the timing up before we start screwing with the carb more. I still think it's rich, but advancing the timing will help with your fuel curve.
We also turned it harder.
Yeah, we went to, what'd you do, 6,200?
Yeah.
It's still climbing. It's still climbing. You gotta love a big block. All right. So we just set the timing to about 36 and 37 degrees. About 36 and a half. And getting some heat back in it. We'll see what she does. And I think next time we're gonna just pull jet out of the passenger side of the engine, because the driver's side seemed to be pretty good. 563.
Woo!
565. 566. I can't see. I'll get it right in a minute.
566 ain't bad, folks. Not a bad number at all.
Wow. It had to be the size of that exhaust system that done it. All right, one more time. Alright, this is last time. Last time. Alright.
529 on the torque. 569. Hey! Heck yeah.
And
what is up?
That's all.
At 500.
That's all in oil temperature.
Let me get a picture of that.
Yep. And that's with 152. You guys, look at this oil pressure. That's making 105 pounds of oil pressure and still pumping out 570 plus. And I bet you it'll keep going. I just don't want to beat on the engine like that. So we're done. I'm happy. We just made 571 with 9-to-1 396 basically. What is, no, it's 427 now. Look at the oil pressure. 100.5. Sorry, I got my engine on my phone. I don't know if you can see that or not. Almost. That's 570.1, 571.0, 571.1. That's really good, man. Really good for a little big block. The little big block that could. Now, Mark, what do you think about that motor?
I'm pleased.
Very good.
Sounds good.
Now, it's time to eat. My diabetes is kicking in. See y'all later.